we should do this with 15. No.
Okay, we'll call the meeting to order tonight at 6:02. We'll call it. Please stand, remove your caps, and say pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we, turn my mic on. All right. Before we adopt the agenda, I want to just clarify one thing. So we have a closed session tonight, and I've been informed by council that he's going to try to zoom in at 7 o'clock. So about 3 or 4 minutes before 7 o'clock, we're going to break, and then we're going to go into closed session. So everybody will unfortunately have to go. We'll try to get to as many items that people are here that want to talk as soon as possible. But so, just so the board's understanding, we have to kind of go by the professional's time. So that'll definitely be happening. Any changes or corrections to the agenda from board?
No, but will you kind of tell us when, because our clock is a little bit off?
Yeah, maybe we'll just break when that says 5 till, and that'll give us time to get set, get everybody out,
See, we knew we hired you for a reason.
yeah, sounds good.
Fixed.
So, is there a motion to approve the agenda, not necessarily in this order with that caveat about the closed meeting?
So
Motion by Rachel, second by Susan. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, agenda's approved 5-0. Consent agenda. Is there anything on the consent agenda that the board members would like to take off before we consider? Going once. Hearing none. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda, which, just so everybody's aware, this includes minutes approval from 8/27, 9/9, 10/9, 9/24, 10/22, and 10/28. So all the special meetings we've had recently. And also includes 2 operators' licenses and the usual building inspector, treasurer, fire call, animal control report. So is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Dan to approve the consent agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Marisol. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0 to approve the consent agenda. Committee reports, chairman's report. We have quite a few things on the agenda tonight, so I think that I will not be having a big report other than this. In the section on public comment, normally we say no speaking to items that are on the agenda. However, the chairman would like to hear from anybody if they have concerns about the Excel power line. So that will be fair game if anybody wants to comment on. So that one caveat, that's all I have to report. Dan, did you have a meeting you went to?
In regard to that particular item, or what?
No, for committee reports.
No, I haven't.
I know, Nick, you went to a couple of trainings and things. Anybody else have any committee reports? All right, then let's move to public comment. So with that one caveat, that if you want to talk about Excel, you're free to do so. Otherwise, please stick to items that are not on the agenda. Is there any public comment? If so, please come to the microphone.
Yes, sir.
Please state your name and your address.
Okay, I'm Ernest Gravesmith. I'm at 604 Range Road. I've moved in July. And in October 7th, or no, August 13th, animal control came to my house. They said that they had a complaint that my dogs had been outside all day barking and that I was running the public mill. Well, I talked to them. The dogs had not been outside more than 5 minutes at any one time. My fiance's got Pomeranians. They're between 6 and 7 pounds. I don't leave them out unless I'm out there with them. We have had coyotes in our backyard, along with other assorted animals that get the dogs riled up. But like I said, they've only been out for 5 minutes at a time, if that. Otherwise, they're kept in the house. He said, well, you're not in violation of any ordinance on that. As far as the puppy mill, all the Pomeranians are spaded. I can't run a puppy mill if I can't breed dogs, and I don't want to. But then I received this bill from the town of Hudson for $98.60 because someone had called animal control. But yet no one can tell me who it was that complained. If I'm not in violation of anything, why am I getting charged? I'm asking a question.
Right, I understand you're asking questions, but just so you know, the audience knows public comment, unfortunately, is one way. So what we'll do is we'll take your comment, and since you've given us your address, we'll review it, okay? So, at a later date.
Okay, I'd asked to have it put on the agenda and was denied that, but
Who? So you said you asked to be put on the agenda?
yes, I've called a few different times.
So we talked yesterday about this, and I let you know that this was the open space to come and talk about it in the public comment. But the agendas are published and ready days prior, so I can't add things on in 24 hours notice for the statute for open notice or open meeting laws.
Well, I called in mid-October about this thing, and I was told, oh, well, you can come for public comments.
Which is the correct answer. We'll add it to the agenda for next time, but I think we published our agenda in mid-October, so it might have just overlapped. We'll definitely address it, and I thank you for your comment, okay?
Well, I'm not paying them, so,
All right, thanks for your comment.
yeah.
Anybody else would like to have a public comment?
Good evening. Catherine Klein, 464 Park Lane. I would like to comment on the Xcel Energy utility lines that are proposed. I don't know if the town of Hudson has any control over that or any say in it, but I'd just like to express that I have a concern, and I think I'm probably not the only one, about non-disclosure agreements regarding some of these things that are happening with utility companies coming in and making agreements for lines that are going to be eventually set aside for data centers, for artificial intelligence, Bitcoin, whatever it is. And will we get information from them about all of what their intention is and what it's for? Is there anything that we can do to know whether the town will be involved in that? And would there be a possibility, even at that level, that there be non-disclosure agreements where they would do something more than what we're told?
All right, thank you. Anybody else have public comment tonight? Anybody else have public comment tonight? Last time, anybody else public comment tonight? All right, we'll move on then to item 6, discussion action on ratifying the Booster Club decision document. think it's item 6 in your books there, Lawrence. So, to start off, last meeting we had public hearing, we had several motions and everything we were working off for that started with the draft from Supervisor Bartizal, and we then had our clerk, as his duties are, to compile the document related to all the motions. I know that you looked at the videotape. There is one change that I think what happened was Mr. Foster was talking about the dedicated road issue, and then we allowed a comment from the boosters, and somehow your train of thought, or our collective train of thought, got to the point where we didn't make a motion on that, but that was something that was, I believe, in your draft that I think was sort of understood by Mr. Bartizal was going to be incorporated. So what I did was wanted to make sure that we had an opportunity as a board with plenty of time to review this document that our clerk has compiled, and I did direct him to make that change for Dan's motion, which I believe it was the intent of us to do and pass, but we just, our train of thought got distracted. So that, I believe, is numbers 11 and 12, that's why I have this up here. That encompasses the change is between those two. So what I'd like to do, and the reason I put it back on the agenda, is so that we can ratify as a board this entire document to reflect accurately our intent. You have it in one final form, and so I would entertain a motion to approve the clerk's document, which was incidentally shared with boosters. So there's been no change since it was shared. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. If there's any motions.
It's my understanding that we've gotten a new document today from the boosters in which they have blue lined some of the comments that we were proposing tonight. That just came in today.
Yes, and before I get into the individual blue lines, you know, when this board meets and makes a motion and adopts by vote, it becomes our decision. What we're doing is, with the one change for the one motion that got omitted, we're ratifying what we had before. That's the intent here. So, had we not chosen to do this step, this would be irrelevant, is I guess what I'm saying.
Yes.
And what are your thoughts, Supervisor Fosterling, on whether we should consider these?
I think overall, I think the comments are satisfactory. I don't know if they changed the intent that much. I do think under item 2E, I don't think we should include the word generally in terms of language on generally huge requirements as well as the dark sky. I think we wanted to say that those are required. And then under F, maximum light tower height allowed for lighting standards as set forth in the town code, and then there's a comment on the side here that we don't really have a tower height, for the light. And I think that this goes back to the standards in terms of the dark sky standards. And so what we don't want to move it to, as per the town code, we stay with the dark sky standards on that. And then, so I think that, I would add that in. And then in terms of there's a comment there in terms of the existing easement not requiring granting the parcel to dedicate the easement area to the boosters, and that's correct. However, what we've said is that there needs to be a road, a town road that accesses the property, and therefore that is what requires the other elements there, and so that's why this kind of partnership between the other landowner and the boosters is necessary to make sure that the road is made to not only town standards but then dedicated to the town.
Can I ask you a question, Supervisor Glassman? Does this document encompass what you believe the board voted on?
Yes.
With the exception of your motion, which we've not read?
I do, yes. So I think I'm also fine with, I do think that, what's addressed in here is more, what do you call it, grammatical and not necessarily changes anything, except for those couple of things which I think are a concern that I pointed out. I would be willing to approve this tonight.
Any other comments?
Yeah, number 8, why is that blue line? The applicant shall be prohibited from selling alcohol, CBD or THC at the Booster Complex. The applicant shall use best efforts to discourage and then they have sales and use of alcohol, crossed out, of alcohol, CBD or THC prohibited. I think that kind of opens it up for, if you cross out discourage the sales, I have a zero tolerance for any alcohol sales at all. I think that should be removed.
Well, let me just make a general comment. If I get this to work. Let me make a general comment about my thoughts on the blue line document. When I read item number 1, to me, it's more than grammatical. When we said no neighborhood parking is allowed, that's a pretty clear statement. Instead, the proposal is the applicant will use his best efforts to discourage parking. That's a non-starter for me. And I think this whole document, we've had so many meetings, hearing input. We asked questions of the boosters representative last time. We were told, yep, we can live with this, we can live with this. And then the day before, we're formally, the only reason we're here on this agenda tonight is just to make sure, for transparency's sake, that we have a clear record of what we're voting on and ratifying. Now we get changes. My vote is no to all of them, and my vote will be solely for this document. Because that is what we worked hard on, that is what the board had unanimous consensus on. And if we start this now, it feels to me like the goalposts keep changing, and I need finance. That's my comments. Anybody else?
Everybody agree.
Do we have a motion to approve this document that Mr. Henlos presented to us in the books as the decision document?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second by Bartzel. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those, actually, let's do a roll call vote, Mr. Clerk.
Just for clarification, who started the motion?
I did.
And then Bartzel second.
Yep, I did that part. Supervisor Fosterling.
Yay.
Supervisor Blank.
Yay.
Supervisor Lang.
Yay.
Supervisor Barzel.
Yay.
Chairman Fowler.
Yay. All right. Item 7, discussion action on CSM for Jason and Shannon Rod, 410 Crafton Lane. Is there somebody here from there?
Good evening, John Salvatore, here on behalf of property owners, Jason and Shannon, who are obviously also present. I'll sign in with it. as you see in front of you, hopefully you all have, there's probably two different exhibits. One is basically that survey map. They own an existing lot off on Craftley, in the Plant of Eagle Ridge. And they have an existing house that they live at currently there, and they would like to plan to be able to build a new house in the future. And so they have a pretty good chunk of land there, so they'd like to split that off in order to build a home back on lot one eventually, and then decide on that point what they would do with the current home. We have been submitted to the county and the village of North Hudson, and we've been to the planning commission. I think generally speaking, the planning commission, we had some discussion on a few items, but all in all went pretty well. There's nothing too complicated about it, other than I think the biggest conversation point was just the driveway location, just making sure that everybody was comfortable with the location that we're proposing, shown on that map, and it seemed like everybody was in favor of that.
There was also a question about the drain field.
Correct, yeah. And so the drain, there's been a new soil test completed. I think it showed up on the one, didn't show up very good, but there, right on the hillside there's a new drain field location for the existing home. And then the new home, they can utilize the existing drain field or intend to come with the new one in. But that's all that hasn't been completed yet, submitted to the county.
Question real quick. So I'm just going off what the planning commission minutes are.
Sure.
The amendment from the planning commission was to make the approval contingent on moving the drain field prior to the issuance of a building permit on lot one.
Sure, yes. Correct. So right now, because the whole, the mountain system is out there, so obviously they wouldn't want to, then have someone else build a new mountain house out there and have two systems on that mountain. So, but at the same token, they don't plan to do this immediately, so the hope was that we could utilize that system as long as it's functioning well until such point that they actually want to build a residence on that lot. So then they would end up basically keeping that connected, and then when it comes time to issue the new septic permit, they would install both systems.
It also talks about us waiving the 100-foot separation.
And that was the driveway location question. So the standard that the county had at one point in time all along was a 200-foot driveway separation from center to center. And then at one point the county eliminated theirs. They went down to 50. Well, they went, in some cases it was still 200, some cases it was 500, but on more lower subdivision roads, they're down to just 10 feet from the lot line, but the town still has a requirement in there. And so the planning commission talked about, on this road, there's only what, 4 or 5 homes off the end of that. And
It's a dead end around the last corner and goes down.
And they felt it seemed appropriate to have 2 driveways versus the negative parts that could kind of come along with the shared driveway. We could, if the board does not prefer to have that separate driveway, then we just do a shared driveway for both of them.
So there's no way to separate the two with 100 feet? Is the existing driveway, is that paved that you can't move that driveway?
It is big, yes.
There are some other driveways on Craftley that are less than 100 feet between driveway and driveway.
And that's not what I'm getting at, but rules change. And you were bringing up the standards of the county, and our town standards are going to oversee that.
Yeah, and I bring that up just from the sense that the 200-foot, I think by default when they started with that, they envisioned all the rural roads, people driving at 45, 50 miles an hour, and then realized over time that 200 feet really is just an arbitrary number that they pulled out for that. And in those higher order roads at higher speeds, there is some benefit to having separation so you know where you might have to stop if someone's slowing down. But on those lower order roads when you're going 25 or 35 miles an hour, it's not really providing any benefit. And so I guess I was just making that point that.
Yeah, but in the defense of the town, any of our new developments, They're all, the driveways have to be 100 feet apart.
Are they 100 or 200?
Yeah, 200, okay. Excuse me.
Well, I'm confused, Susan, because the town board will waive the 100-foot separation. It says there was discussion, reading from the minutes from the planning commission, there was discussion on the new driveway not meeting the required 100-foot separation. So I think it's 100, if that's what the planning commission was going for, right?
Yeah, they can't get 100 between the original and the secondary one. And they're not wanting to do a shared driveway.
Is there anybody from the planning commission here? Greg, would you mind answering a question or two? Come on up, so we can get you on. Sure. Microphone. Well, clearly from the minutes, the planning commission talked about the 100-foot. So my question then is, what was the rationale for your planning commission agreeing or recommending waiving that?
It was because of the dead-end road, and there were other driveways on that existing road that were less than 100 already. And if you look at the new development out by the old Duro Bag, the 1 acre lots, those are not 100 feet apart, those driveways, so it happens.
All right, so it's something
We didn't see it as a safety issue on that particular road.
all right, thanks for that input. Thank you. Board members, any further
I
questions?
think normally I would be against just waiving it when there's an alternative. However, in this case, I'm on the fence and I'm actually leaning towards going ahead and saying yes, simply because it's on a curve and it's much lower speed through there. I've driven down there and I seem to recall that going around that corner, you can maybe go 25, maybe 30. So it's pretty, I think it's pretty safe to waive the driveway space from my perspective.
I don't have a problem with the driveway as proposed.
All right.
I'm okay with the driveway as well.
All right, so thank you for coming. Have a seat. We'll hopefully have a motion from somebody here.
I have a question though. Our engineer here, I hadn't had a chance to see this before today, but our engineer is not addressing, I don't think, the county rule about a lot depth versus width rule that they have. My understanding is that they still have that. We don't have a county weighting on this though, I don't think.
I guess the county has not brought any comment to that degree. I mean, I spoke with Jason Cheesit and he didn't have any comments.
So he's seen the review?
Yes. And as has Corey Hughes with the state, he's the state county surveyor, so he has a review as well.
Any further discussion? All right, motions, anyone?
Move to approve the CSN.
I'll second.
Motion by Barlow, second by Lang. Any further discussion?
I'm just trying to make sure that, we have recommended approval with contingencies, and I'm just trying to make sure that, we've addressed any contingencies on here. I mean, we have addressed the driveway, so I think we're good on that. Is there anything else on here that, we're missing?
Yeah, the drain field.
Okay.
The date of, that drain field has got to be moved before they can get a permit for building on that secondary lot.
So the recommendation from the planning commission, there was an amended motion to make approval contingent on moving the drain field prior to the issuance of a building permit on lot 1. White agreed to the amendment, motion carried. So if Bartolozzi is making a motion to approve what has been recommended, that encompasses that contingency, and we can make that super clear now on the record. for your records, Mr. Clerk, that that is the recommendation that Mr. Bartzel is making a motion to approve includes that contingency.
Correct.
Does that help satisfy your concern, Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Do we need to do anything based on the county approval? I know we've heard the representation. Well, what happens if the county says, whoa, we can't split that out that way?
I think that we should make it contingent upon county approval of the final CSM as presented.
Mr. Bartzel, would you accept that amendment?
Yes, I accept that amendment.
Okay, and who seconded?
I'd second that.
And you also accept that amendment? Okay, so, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the amended motion, which encompasses those two restrictions, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried, or opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chief, do you have time constraint tonight? No, you don't? Okay, then hang tight. Item number E, discussion action, CSM for Stephen and Laura Jacobson, 846 Badlands Road. Go ahead and introduce yourselves for who's speaking. And
I'm Mike with Hudson Land Surveying, surveyor for the Jacobson.
Andrew Jacobson. Good evening. What would you like to tell us about the application?
Right, so we have a 2-lot certified survey map, and we plan on building on lot 2. So right now we got one parcel, and we plan on subdividing, so we get a new parcel number for lot 2, so Andrew can build on lot 2. We have one access coming in off of Badlands Road, that's going to be a shared access to lot 1 and lot 2. I don't know if you guys have any questions, I guess. All the planning commission seemed to be they were okay with it, one engineer was okay with it. And we do have a shared driveway agreement or not? I emailed it to you guys, to the clerk today, but we have a shared driveway agreement that it's just like, it needs to be filled in if the CSM gets approved, but we have a shared driveway agreement.
I think we all know something.
Yep. Any questions from the board members?
One concern I have is on lot 2 with the slopes, and especially for like access for fire or emergency vehicles. I haven't obviously been out there to look at it, but just looking at the slope diagram, it doesn't look like there's a lot of options for getting a driveway up there without having an excessive slope that would be a problem for emergency vehicles. So I don't know if you've thought about that or have some comments on it to help us feel better about that.
Yeah, we talked with our contractor about the build and things like that. There's a plan to shave off quite a bit of that hillside and flatten that space out about 8 feet or so.
Any concerns with erosion mitigation or slopes that are, I think it's like over 25% or something like that, the county might have something to say about modifying the slopes?
No, it's a pretty hefty amount of space. It'd be a pretty good amount of flat area that we're done.
Okay.
Any other questions from the board members?
Are we acting on this? It's not filled out. So what are we doing with this?
So the recommendation from the planning commission was to approve the CSM for Stephen and Laura Jacobson at 846 Badlands Road, contingent on the shared maintenance and driveway agreement being in place before going to town board. So to answer your question is, yes, it does appear that that needs to be filled out. So
What needs to be filled out?
the shared driveway agreement.
Yeah, I mean, it's filled out as far as we can. I mean, it'll be complete once the CSM gets recorded, because the recorded information is entered on the shared driveway agreement. So it's filled out as far as you can go at this point.
And
Oh, mine's completely empty, that's why I'm asking. I don't have any names or anything.
I mean, yeah, that's like,
And you gave that to the clerk today, correct?
Yeah.
Seems like you've given us all that you can.
Yeah.
without us actually voting on doing something, so.
Yeah, it looks like what's missing is it is what we need to come out and report in the CSM.
Right. All right, well, how do you want to word this? Maybe you should have a good handle on it, not even either.
Dan should, he does better with these motions than.
Or otherwise, I can take a crack at it.
I think we can just say that, we approve the CSM as presented, subject to completed and signed shared driveway easement maintenance agreement.
Is that a motion?
Yes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Lang. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you for coming.
So you could forward this on to St. Croix County Community Department that you approved it. Usually in the past that the chairman would sign and date it, but is that something you guys do anymore or not?
If there's a spot for Nick or I to sign, we will take care of it and get it out of the county.
Okay.
About that.
Yep.
And then, obviously, when the minutes get ratified, then everybody has a public record of it.
Yep. This is something, I think it is on record of making sure that you're looking at the same house there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And we already have the planning commission minutes, so there's that too, so. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, moving on. Discussion and action site plan for St. Croix County Highway Department for shop expansion at 666E Highway 12. That's interesting.
We're gonna change that address. Just to start with that, I'm a little superstitious. So it's actually gonna be 674 when we're finished. My name's Todd Woodall. I'm the Assistant Highway Commissioner for St. Croix County. And Corey Scheidler is our design engineer from Cedar Corps. So I'm here to answer any operational questions, and Corey can answer the design side.
So good evening, everyone. And as Scott indicated, I'm the architect for the project. And we met with Eric Benningster, the town's engineer. Went through several comments and questions. We've come to your planning commission, met with them, answered a few more questions. We're currently at a state process where we have all of our state approvals, and we have our design complete. We're ready to start construction of the building. So tonight we're asking for the town board's approval on our site plan. We'd have to answer any questions that you have.
So this is going to look like the Baldwin shop, essentially?
Very similar, yes.
Yeah, we're gonna have the same style. I'm gonna call it the Dallas Cowboy colors, but we're gonna have the grays and the blues, and it's gonna have similar features to Baldwin's.
Concrete materials, long-lasting building, durable facility, and allows us to get more of that equipment inside and keep things clean.
But what we've learned over time is our tin sheds, metal sheds start to rot from the inside out. And so, if we're able to get 40 years out of one of those shops, we have a long life where with the precast concrete that we're looking at for the new shop, we'll get in the area of 70 to 100 years. We've also planned for expansion. While Hudson continues to grow, the town, the state roads, the county, we have left open space if need be to add on in the future as well. Operationally, the town of Hudson is our biggest customer. So we have 4 designated plow trucks in this shop, plus a spare. The state system has 3 plow trucks, plus a spare, and we currently have 1 now that functions out of here. You're really not going to see any changes from our existing operation. It's just trying to be more efficient for the future.
One thing I would note is during the planning commission, apparently there was some comments that you guys have been good in the we approve the St. Clair County Highway Department site plan and CSM for, actually, let me rephrase that. Approve site plan for St. Clair County Highway Department for shop expansion at currently 666E Highway 12. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, motion by Fowler, second by Blank. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Just a discussion point.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm just kind of, I was a little curious about, we do have our standard bond requirement, and, in terms of letter of credit for the site improvements, and, it just seems to me that, that's something that, I mean, we are talking about a municipal, government body, should we really be having a letter of credit in that case?
Well, it seems to me like getting it would be super duper easy because you probably have these from other places. So I don't think it's a harm to require that to be an issue.
We'll figure that out.
Okay. Yeah, it seems to me that, I mean, if it would cost anything, or usually it's just a minor fee, for that, why would we sell that ultimately to the taxpayer?
Well, that's awesome.
The county.
All right, so here's my thoughts on your comment. I would amend my motion as follows. That a bond or letter of credit will not be required if it has an out-of-pocket or if it has a cost element to the county. How about that? So we don't want to have government upon government spending taxpayer dollars. I agree with that 100%.
I want to point out, and I'm not sure if this is the right place for it, but the county is paying a $21,000 building permit fee. So there is a significant investment that we're passing on to the town.
Right.
Okay.
So with my amendment, it's simply this. If a letter of credit costs the county money, then it is considered waived. Okay? And so that's my amended motion. Who seconded it?
I did.
Are you okay with that amendment?
I am.
All right. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye to the amended motion.
Aye.
Aye.
And what was the new address?
Opposed?
I'm sorry?
What's the new address going to be?
674. And I want to give you all an open invitation if you want to see our current shop, or as we get closer to the finish line to come in and do that, by all means reach out to us and we'll get it scheduled.
Very good. Thanks for coming. Nick, I don't know if it got over the microphone, but it was 5-0 approved on that. Okay. All right, we're gonna briefly move over 9 because our chief is here. So let's talk about discussion action on Hudson Fire Department referendum and public relations. I'm going to turn our side over to Supervisor Bartizal, who, I really like the way the board is working as a team. He's taken on this to her element. So, Mr. Bartizal, you're in charge of the discussion on this item.
Sure. So this action item is to discuss responding to the letter that was sent from the city over to the town, indicating that they were going to be going forward with hiring a PR firm in order to prepare for a referendum for what, right? So the chief can speak to this better than I can, certainly, but in a nutshell, they want to move to full-time staff. And in order to do that, there's going to be a significant cost increase for the fire department. There's a very good presentation that the fire department has put together, and I included it in the email that I sent out with background info for the board, for the reasons why they want to do it. But ultimately, what we need to do is we need to leave this up to our taxpayers. There's some complications in this because we have a contract with the fire department that says that if the prices go up, we have to pay it, right? So we follow along with what they do. But we do have some voice in it, and our citizens have some voice in it. We have to figure out, is this what we want to do? And if it is, how are we going to pay for it? Either through tax increase, changes in fee structures, separating the capital part from the operating costs, because it's all kind of lumped together now. And I'm going to pause there and ask the chief if I said anything wrong, or if you want to add anything to get some color for the background for why the fire department is seeking to do this expansion.
No, appreciate it. Appreciate having me in tonight to discuss this. So taking over as fire chief 3 years ago, we started to evaluate the department we come in and start to run. And I started looking at response times in the area we serve and personnel. And as you start to report through the data, you start to see that there's extended response times and very limited availability of personnel at all times of the day, all days of the week. We protect our fire protection area with all our partners. It's 49 square miles, about 33,000 people. That's a considerable population area that we serve by a paid-on-call volunteer fire department with a call volume that's has increased almost 30% in the last 10 years. Population increase drives call for services. So you start looking at all these factors, and one way to combat extended response times and burnout of volunteer firefighters is to get some form of full-time staff. The intent is not to get an entire full-time staff in the fire department. We would still have an augment of, I'm thinking 25 is a good number, of paid-on-call firefighters for larger incidents, structure fires, things like that. But we would have 4 personnel on duty a day that would take care of between 50 and 60% of our calls that we don't have to call volunteers in for to do. It becomes a burden on them. We're doing almost 700 calls a year to ask that of a volunteer firefighter. So to be able to do this, obviously, it would exceed tax levy for the city of Hudson. So what we need to do is go to referendum because we're bound by state law in regards to being able to increase our tax levy by net growth. That would allow us to exceed tax levy for the purposes of funding full-time staff in the fire department. So that's is what the plan is. Our goal is to get this on the ballot next November during the governor's election. Everybody we've talked to in the state says you want a bigger election to do it. We have a lower turnout. We also don't want to tie into another referendum. So hopefully that way somebody else does that.
Recording in progress.
So about 90%, and these are rough numbers, of referendums in the state use some form of public relations to get the word out, to get the proper word out, to help craft the questions, the referendum question. And they find that they're successful when they hire somebody to help assist them do that. Communities that have gone on their own and tried to form a referendum and do it on their own almost always fail because it's not organized and they don't have the correct, the collaborative message that goes out to everybody. So Monday night, the city did approve moving forward with hiring a company out of Milwaukee that is endorsed by the League of Municipalities. That a lot of the communities that use in the state that specialize in public safety referendums, they help craft the question or draw up the question. They get that submitted to the state at the appropriate time for approval to get on the ballot in November. So the city did move forward Monday night to hire Miller Consulting out of Milwaukee to assist with this.
Thank you. Just to also add, the city has approved a capital improvement plan for the fire department for about $700,000, which we would be on hook for a part of that. I think about 25% of that paid over 10 years. So that will be another increase for our fire costs that are coming up, which is part of what I was alluding to. We need to think about some different ways of how we finance this. but the capital side versus the operating side. Okay, so back to the request for sharing the PR. The cost, and again, Chief, please stop me, correct me if I'm wrong, the cost for that was approximately $140,000 cost to the city for the whole project, of which again, they're asking us to share, and I assume, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that that would be our normal kind of prorated share, which is about 26%.
So the 140,000 is just for the city of Hudson and the town of Troy. An email was sent a few weeks ago requesting if there was interest from you to join as part of that public relations. We didn't hear anything back, we just move forward. Not saying we can't go back and amend that.
Right.
I don't know if it's would be necessary. So the three-step process is they're going to meet with us here in January. They're going to find out what our needs are, figure out how to get this put together, and then they're going to be sending mailers out to see if there's support within the city. And really this hinges upon if the city residents, the city taxpayers are in support of this. And if the surveys come back that this is a failure, that people don't want this, then we're probably done, right? And this is probably a good point. I don't necessarily see the need for the town of Hudson to want to join. You certainly may to get the information out. You're going to still get the information regardless once this comes out. I mean, we're going to distribute it. We can have town hall meetings, things like that. But I don't know if it's in your benefit to send mailers out to your residents. And the fact that, like you mentioned before, because you are under contract, if the referendum does pass in the city of Hudson, you would be required to come up with funding for your portion of it. So it's one of those things that we're more than happy to have you join us in the public relations push for this. But again, I don't know if it's necessary the town to take on that cost is something that you're probably going to benefit from by not doing.
Unsurprisingly, we have a tight budget this year too, and very small ability to increase any levies also. So for me, I don't really support spending the money, and I wouldn't want to make a motion to. But what I would like to suggest to the board is that we put this on a future agenda item, perhaps December if possible, that we can start to have a conversation about how we want to go forward with the funding of the fire department.
If I can just jump in a little bit, we have our approximately quarter fire meetings that, I try to make as many as I can, work notwithstanding. And there's updates given at those meetings, so I will get those. And if I can't make one, Dave, I can always have you go and get the same information on behalf of the town. My mic just keeps shutting off, so I'm just going to speak loud. I'm not yelling at you. So I guess I concur with, this is ultimately going to be a cost to us if it passes. So I really am not up for spending more to spend more. And you already went forward with it without us. And I just want you to know, Chief, that 3 weeks ago, we have to have time to put it on the agenda. So that's why this is the first time we've had an opportunity to address it. So,
This also just want to mention for clarity, as a board, if we go to a referendum, we, by state law, can't really take a position on whether we say yes or no. We have to provide the information that the residents need in order to make a decision, but we don't take a position on it.
Correct. And that may be a time that you may want to have help crafting the question. And that's exactly why we went to have somebody help us do this in the city, is to make sure it's done correctly and within the state law.
But we could, if it passes and we're only up for that money, then, sure you want to, we have a governor, gubernatorial election coming down, so it's going to be a big turnout. But people can come and vote, and if they're not an educated voter, they're no good. If they see more money, they're going to just check no on the referendum. So are you planning on having the town of Hudson also put it as a referendum in our next November election, or just City of Hudson?
That's your decision as the town if you want to do that. There's two ways you can do it. You can either go to referendum for tax increase, or you can take it out of your operating budget.
Well,
I can't dictate to you how you want to fund it. That's up to you. It's just when if there is an increase, if it passes, again, that's unknown, then that would be passed on as an increase in the contract.
But we could use the referendum and the PR firm rates.
I would imagine so, yes.
And then-
Here's the question.
And then try to educate the voters by sending out mailers and.
Right, and that's our intent as we move forward with this, is once we get a solidified message and we get the facts in place and it's then we intend to fully go out and educate the public.
All right. So I hate to be the person to say, oops, we're out of time. But I'm afraid we are, with the exception of, I'm sure you don't want to have to come back. Is there anything more you wanted to add? Or any more questions for the chief quickly? Because we do have to break for our...
I can certainly, any meeting you want me to come to, I'm always available to come to meetings, whatever you need. I know you have some fire ordinance stuff at some point we're going to have to go through, so.
All right.
One day I come back anytime.
And Chief, thank you for coming. That's great that you did. We appreciate it. All of us do. We're gonna pause and take a break. Anybody who still has business or still wants to see, please hang outside or get in your car or whatever. We will let you know when we're done. I anticipate this being a very short closed session, 10 to 15 minutes. So just so everybody knows, please come back in 10 to 15 minutes. We'll let you all know.
I'd like to make a motion to go into closed session. Second.
All right. Any further?
Do you have to close out your item number 11 first or not take any action?
It's still open, but we're pausing right now.
Got it.
Good.
All right, so there's been a motion, a second to go into closed session. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0 at 6:59. Okay.
I move to come out of closed session.
Second. Motion by Blank, second by Foster to come out of closed session. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Foster?
Yes.
Supervisor Blank?
Yes.
Supervisor Blank?
Aye.
Supervisor Barton?
Yes.
Chairman Collins?
Yes.
Do you want to lock that door?
What do you think, Rick? Because you come in and I'm too, so we're here.
Yeah, that mic wasn't there.
Yeah, you get that, I don't like this, just a meeting like that.
I was going to turn it on.
All right, so we've made a motion to come back into public session. We have to, I think by law, take up any of the items that we've talked about that we are potentially going to do action on. So, item 13, discussion action on town resolution opposing and authorizing challenge to annexation. I'm gonna start with this one here. I'm gonna make a motion that the town, be it resolved that the town resolves to oppose annexation of the UU property and authorize a challenge to annexation as my first motion. Is there a second? Second. All right, discussion. Now keep in mind, we were intended to do a closed discussion, so let's not bring anything. Is there any further discussion on that part of the motion?
I just have a comment. It's my understanding that the annexation is being pushed by the school district. That there is a developer involved who has a contingent offer, and that offer, my guess is, I haven't talked to the developer, my guess is that there's one price if it's in the city, and another price if it's in the town, because of the fact that, there's more units that can be presented. That said, even though I don't think that the developer is driving it, although I have not discussed it with the developer, I am on another board that is currently engaged with that developer in a project, and so if it's the desire of that, you have to recuse myself on this vote.
I think that's, with that disclosure, Dan, I think that's actually a good idea. There's state statutes on that, you just don't want to come anywhere near it. So thank you for that disclosure. So on issues of annexation, because the developer, Mr. Foster, is recusing, so that leaves the four of us. Any further discussion for the remainder?
I'm not on board, but what are your thoughts, Dan? Good idea, please, I'm good.
Do you have a financial or personal interest in the outcome of the vote?
Well, I know where the building is, it's where the church.
All right, I don't think that qualifies as a disqualifying event. I'm not sure why I'm getting feedback, so we'll just have to deal with it. Any discussion for the remainder of us? All right, hearing none. All those in favor, roll call vote, please. On the motion.
Supervisor Blank?
Aye.
Supervisor Lang?
Aye.
Supervisor Barza? Aye. Chairman Bell?
Aye. Second piece, motion carries 4-0, one abstention. What a team, huh? All right, that is much better, thank you so much. Second motion on the closed session, I make a motion to authorize the hiring of a Riley law firm at the rate that was discussed by the attorney, pending acceptance of what will be considered an engagement letter from that firm, which I'm sure will come tomorrow. Understanding the estimates that were given, I so move. Is there a second? Second. All right. Dan, same abstention. So any further discussion? The only, I guess I would throw this out there. I made the motion. It appears we have a little bit of time, so we could shop around. Well, one of the nice things is that if there's travel involved, they're the closest option to us. So that will probably be the cost savings in and of itself. And familiarity with our county is also important.
If I do that as well, I looked for a couple in the last 2 days here. The other possible firms are on Fox Valley, Appleton, and otherwise you're talking Madison, Milwaukee, and I think it does have benefit that he's been in this area. So, for what it's worth.
Okay. And I also want to piggyback on what Nick said. One of the top firms in this area is conflicted out as well. So there's been several. Nick and I have been busy. Let's just say that. I think this is our best option at this point in time. So any further discussion?
I'm just a little concerned because I know all of the towns or municipalities that have tried to fight annexation that I personally know have lost. So I'm a little,
I've looked into this a little bit, Rachel, and there's been quite a few successful ones, including one in Richmond, and we actually were seeking that firm out. We are conflicted. the support that the state has seemed to indicate by letter from the Department of Administration that I feel we're on pretty good footing.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
And just for the public's benefit too, just one last comment. This is a rural community, and if we promise to keep this place rural, we have an obligation to do it. And if we allow, you know, the neighboring municipality to take the most desirable properties for high-density development, that's going to impact our rural community. And I feel very strongly that a vast majority of our residents would expect us to fight this. That's what I feel very strongly. And I literally heard no one say, oh, don't oppose this. So, any further discussion? Susan? Dave?
Historically, the city has not been very forceful when it comes to annexation, unless it's a particular single parcel and it's clearly contiguous. Then they have passed the ordinance to accept it. So, yeah, I just want to say I don't think we're necessarily fighting the city here, but it is a process that we have to follow.
Right. There's three parties involved besides us. I agree with your comment. Hearing any further discussion? Hearing none, let's take a roll call vote on my motion to hire the law firm.
So, and as your motion was, you specified Weld Riley, do you want to keep it that or keep it?
I think we should just go with them. Yeah, so my motion was to hire Weld Riley for their presentation in closed session, which will mean I will execute the letter of engagement tomorrow. If it's consistent with that presentation. That's my motion. Everybody understand the motion?
Yes.
All right.
Supervisor Lang? Oh, I'm sorry, I was going for the vote.
Aye.
It was carried us very long. Supervisor Lang?
Aye.
Supervisor Bartizal?
Aye.
Chairman Ballmer?
Aye. All right, motion passes. Let's take care of item 13 unless there's other motions that you guys want from the closed session. All right, so we've had a closed session, we came back into closed session, we took action on the items on closed session, so that is taken care of. Let's go back to 11:11. The chief has given his presentation. Dave, thank you for yours. It seems to me like they've already voted to go forward with their thing. There's no reason for us to spend money. Are we all in agreement there? Then, I guess, again, just to speed things up, I vote that we, at this time, do not authorize funds to participate in their marketing study. Is there a second?
Wait, I'm sorry, I'll wait for discussion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, discussion.
So if it gets approved by the city, we're on the hook for money. Okay, and looking at the numbers that they put together, it's an additional like $500,000 a year. We need to raise funds, we need a referendum. If that's the case, we don't have that money to spend. We're gonna have to do a referendum. We're gonna be pushed back into a corner where we don't have choice.
Right.
So, and we need to make sure we educate the public so they understand what is happening.
So I guess the reason I made my motion at this time, because based on what the chief said, they're going to do some preliminary work, and within a few months, we'll know if they're going to truly go forward. And we can definitely revisit it the way I phrased my motion is at this time. So, any further discussion, comments, questions?
I've also asked the chief if he can spend some time with me so that I can become more educated and dig into how the financing works so that we can start to prepare for a conversation on how we go forward.
All right.
And the other thing is that we do have a contract, a multi-year contract, and the revision of the department as they're proposing it may not be part of the expenses they could pass along to us, so I think that we should review the contract, make sure that there isn't something there that would be an issue.
There's also a change in Troy. They're building their own kind of auxiliary station out there. I think that has some impacts on pricing, so that's why I really want to dig into what portion of the cost is actually allocatable to us.
I think those are all really good comments. So, and we're not necessarily done with 11 here after we do this motion, so we can do more motions. But is there any further discussion on not paying for the marketing study or participating in the marketing study at this time? Hearing none. All those in favor of not participating, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. So, Dave, you are doing a great job with this, and I would like to see you go in my place to the fire meetings. And the main reason I say that is, these are usually at 8:30 in the morning, and almost always I get stuck in the morning court on the day of that, so I've actually had to miss one of these. And so, since this is your area of expertise, I don't know that we need a motion, but I'm going to appoint you to the fire commission. Okay? Do you accept?
I accept.
Very good. Wonderful. Make a note of that in the minutes.
Then somebody tell me where it is in the...
It's at the fire department, and they'll give the clerk an notice. So,
Thank you.
and we'll tell the fire chief to give you notice directly now. I think I heard another good idea from Dan. So, I think we should review our contract and potentially would result in a closed session and discuss with our lawyer after review. Since that is authorizing funds for attorneys, do you want to make a motion?
Yeah, I make a motion that we have our contract reviewed to determine what costs, if any, are actually transferable to the town of Hudson.
Second.
All right. Motion by Foster, Layton, and second by Lang this time. So, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Rachel, you had a good idea. I think we should also consider what steps need to be taken to do a referendum and what potential expenses might be. Again, I think that's a question for our council. So do you want to make a motion to effectuate that?
Yeah, so moved, as you stated.
All right, is there a second to Rachel's motion?
I'll second.
All right, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, 5-0. Number 14. I assume we beat that person to death, right? Just before we move on to from 11. All right.
Mr. Chairman, we skipped number 10.
Correct.
Let's go to 10. Good idea. Noise complaints, Arrow Building Center. Is there anybody here that would like to speak to this issue? I know that in our books there's email, and I think there's been more than one, frankly. I know they forwarded one to you, Mr. Clerk, but I've received a lot. And I think what I'm confused about is this from the Arrow Building Center business or from another business?
So I'm like that too. I stopped at Arrow to post some notices. The building that's in front, their office, whatever it might be. I talked to that manager. She told me that it's likely coming from the distribution center that's behind them, which is still part of Arrow, but that's what backs up to that neighborhood property back there. And if I'm just being honest with the conversation, she didn't seem very surprised that, there were noise complaints about it, so it didn't seem surprising that there was things happening after hours. But I didn't go personally talk to anyone at that distribution building, but it still is Arrow.
Okay. Susan, I think that was one of your concerns, right? And I likewise was confused as to the layout, where it's coming from, and I'll tell you the truth, I don't, without looking at the code book right now, I couldn't tell you the exact uses, times, etc. for the zoning of that property. I think that it might be a good idea for us to have our legal counsel look at, given these complaints, assuming they're true,
times are true, then this needs to cease. I mean, 11:48 PM,
Right.
10 o'clock PM.
They're building trusses back there after hours. It's a separate business that, I don't know how it got started, but it did, and it's ongoing.
But it's out of the Arrow footprint, it's not from the storage or anything back there?
I don't know how it's connected or if it's connected to Arrow, but they're building trusses.
Yeah, I think we need to look into it because, again, I've received multiple, I forwarded one. And I think for multiple people as well. So, you know, that would not sit well with me at 11 something or whatever. So, I move we refer the matter to our legal counsel to review the complaints and the ordinances that they are in and to investigate and give us a summary report.
I'll second that. Do you first want to know the exact name
Well, I think,
versus just saying it's from Arrow?
well, it's from the Arrow property. You know, that, I think our clerk is,
So I did drive back there and confirm the building does say Arrow Distribution or something to that effect. It's not, you know, Tom Smith's Trust Building Company or something like that.
yeah, I think based on the information we have enough to, and again, we can make more than one motion. I have another one in mind here, but,
Can we, it seems to me that, you know, our first course, you know, might be to take the complaint and, you know, without the person's name on it, and, you know, talk to the distribution people there and say, look, you know, this is the kind of complaint, you know, we're getting. We might share some other ones with her. What can you do to make sure that this doesn't happen again? And, I mean, I'd rather do that than start, first of all, you know, the legal side.
I kind of agree with you because we can look into the ordinance ourselves and just have somebody go and confront them and say, hey, your neighbors are complaining about this, and then give them a copy of the ordinance.
let's do this. Let's vote my motion down, and then we can come up with another course of action. Because I do think there's probably, I mean, again, I just don't have the ordinances right here to say what was right or wrong at this point, but, yeah, let's, any further discussion on my motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. All those opposed, nay. All right. I know it seems silly, folks, what we're going to do. All right, so that motion's gone. Dan, what do you think? You've experienced these kind of situations before with
I think
people.
strategically, I think, you know, let's try to just work with them as neighbors and, you know, bring some of these complaints to them and ask them for a commitment and see what we can get out of them. But, I mean, if they're saying, well, you know, we've got to work with it because we've got the orders, then they say, and, you know, well, we would say, well, can you close it in a building, you know, or whatever. I mean, what can you do? Because, you know, that's what they're doing right now is intolerable. I'm sure there's no approval for that anywhere.
So who should we have look up the ordinance and go over them? Didn't we used to have a person, who did we use before with our complaints?
Well, our building inspector.
Our building, yeah, that's what I thought.
Just said our building inspector is also our zoning inspector.
Okay, so why don't we
Yeah, I think
have him deliver and talk to them and
we could do that.
So we could also have, you know, our able-bodied clerk who has already kind of talked to them.
We'll leave that up to the clerk to decide.
well, I don't know if Nick really wants to, if it comes down to where it has to be hard nosed, I don't necessarily want to get involved.
Well, I don't think I have authority either, because most statutes say, or the way it's written in ordinances, it's from the board or the chairman, and I don't think town staff are included in that board.
Okay, we can.
I'm not opposed to it, but I don't think legally I can.
But Nick, you could take a couple copies of, without enclosing who is complaining, of the complaints themselves, and then take those to Tony and give those to Tony and say, here, this is what we're getting, and ask him to go further.
And I can go with you, so that it's like for the movie too, so now it's legal. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, why don't we interpret Dan's comments as a motion that town staff, to include potentially clerk, zoning official, and chairman, to investigate complaints and approach the property owner to work towards resolution. How does that sound for a motion, Dan? Sounds good. All right, that's Dan's motion. Is there a second? I'll second it. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, now let's go to item 14.
12.
Oh, I thought we did 12. I'm sorry. Discussion action on renting out town hall building for planned events. I'm not sure who owns this one. But
So this is
That
kind of
was me.
it's kind of a mix. We just brought it up 1 or 2 meetings ago. There was actually a request for a women's bowling league to rent out the town hall for a meeting. It's not till next spring, but they were wondering if it was up there. I let them know it did come up in a meeting to talk about it, but there was never a motion on it, so just threw it out there because Rachel asked for it, and someone specifically asked to request the building. So I have no stance other than bringing it before you.
Rachel?
It's my straw, I've been trying to do this since I got elected. I believe this building belongs to the people. And I think they should be able to use this building. I'm not talking baby showers or anything like that, but like HOA meetings, just like, you know, regular meetings, not anything, no parties, no balloons, no, you know, so there really wouldn't be any cleanup cost or anything. People would just be sitting in chairs. I just think we need to give this building back to the people.
And so to clarify, so the document in there was one that I found in town's records, not something I drafted, not something I'm behind, just for reference of what might have happened in the past, obviously predating.
And it should be for town residents only.
I do want a lot of discussion on this because I have questions on what this might involve. Because this is our town hall. This is not a community center.
No.
We have everything locked in here. So there's going to have to be discussion on who's going to let the company in, who is going to oversee it, who is going to lock up when it's done. What do we do about, who's going to be responsible for locking up certain items that we certainly do not want walking out the door. And there's, we have a contract, not a contract, but when people want to use our park and say have a party out here or whatever, we make them fill out a form and they have to pay a deposit. And part of that is, so that they do clean up and stuff like that. So I just think there needs to be more discussion about this. If we're thinking about heading down this, that we need to pull in some parameters, like you said, town residents. So I think it would be a good thing to put up on whether it's a closed session and we discuss all of this and try to come up with some parameters before we even bring this up for any type of vote, yes or no.
I agree, this needs a lot more discussion.
Well, it can't be a closed session either. There's no possible exception that would do this to closed session on this.
I didn't say closed session, I said a working session.
Oh, okay.
I said a working session so that we can, throw out ideas and see what,
It's not.
I can tell you, Rachel, that I completely agree that this is funded by public money, that our town residents who are, want to use this space, I didn't understand the blanket no kind of mentality before, and so I think this is worthy of creating a policy.
Well, everything was that they had to hire professional cleaners for some enormous amount of money if somebody had like an HOA meeting here. That was like pre-COVID, that was during COVID times, COVID's over. It's not, we don't need a cleaning service to come in. Our HOA meetings have about this many people. What kind of mess are we making? What harm are we doing? The other thing to consider is who's gonna lock and unlock the door. We may have to pay a town resident and pass that fee on to the group using the.
Well, and the other thing is, if we open it to one, we have to open it to all and be neutral and.
As long as they're with Tom, and
Right.
but only for certain events, no baby showers, no parties, no meetings. A meeting room, a place to have meetings.
Again, I think we have to flesh that out. I like the idea of a working session or a subcommittee, perhaps, that can flesh out, because what we really need is a policy that we stick by, right? And we'll have to figure out the things like what is going to be secured, what is going to be accessed, what cleanup, what deposit, very careful what groups we try to, so you open it to some, it's kind of going to be, it's government. So I think there's a lot of things to talk about. What's the board's sense? Would you rather have a committee or workshops?
Workshops. So we all have to say.
David?
Fine with that, yes.
Dan? I'm okay with that. We have holidays and deer hunting coming up. I don't think there's a reasonable chance that we will, and our budget meeting, I don't think there's a reasonable chance we get a workshop in November. So,
We should be killing animals. They have feelings.
anyway, I just don't think we'll be able to get one in November at that point. We have another meeting in December, and so we don't necessarily have to take action on this.
No.
All right. Hearing no motions, now we'll go for it. Did I miss one? Okay. All right.
So are we adding this to a future agenda to set up a working session?
Right, we're not tabling or anything, we just took no action, I can put it on the agenda at any time, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just don't want to be forgotten about.
Right. Discussion action on adding town treasurer to state retirement plan. So it turns out that, at least according to what our current treasurer is telling us, that, am I correct, the former treasurer and clerk were part of the retirement system?
So, yeah, I'll explain what happened here. When we were setting up Nick in the ERS program, I went through the files and both the clerk and the treasurer were included with the words, and I started looking at it, and based on the wording in the who qualifies, I qualified, so I inquired to the chairperson, can I be involved in this too? Because, and actually, it answered my own question, because it does say if you are an employee after July 11th, if you are working or expecting to work for at least a year and your hours are over 1,200 for the year, you qualify. So, based on the hours of 24 hours a week and 52 weeks, that's 1,250 hours. So I just said, can I be on there? And he said, we're going to have to take it to the board. So that's why we're here.
And my question though was, so the prior treasurer and clerk were also receiving the benefit from the town, correct?
Yes.
And you verified that in your position as treasurer, correct?
Yes.
All right. Go ahead.
My concern is I had brought up some things that I wanted to add to for Nick. And we decided we weren't gonna do anything until reviews. I think we should stick to that policy. And wait for a review to make any changes to any contracts, to add, to subtract, anything. I think it's only fair.
I think here's something I think that might be shed a different light on it, and that is that I think that as a town, we're either all in on WRS or all out. If we're all in, it means that what we do is we have to track our employees' hours every month, and if they go beyond a certain point, they're automatically covered. And so I didn't know what that break point was, but I understand it is $1,200 per year. So that would mean that if, in fact, we're reporting and expecting 24 hours a week, that we really don't have a say on it at this point. It's already a done deal. It's fully
Because we're already in the system, and have been for 3 years. Yeah, that makes sense.
And I think when we hired our treasurer, the assumption was part-time wouldn't qualify, but now that we have more information, it appears we were maybe not fully informed, and now we are. And so I think I agree with Mr. Foster that we should all be in or all be out to treat everybody who qualifies as a regular employee.
Yeah, we're all of us are in, technically. And so a report has to be done every month that says how many hours we worked, and if we're not doing 1,200 hours a year, then we're not in. And the only two people, apparently we thought it was one, but 2 people that qualified under that requirement is the clerk and the treasurer.
So, any motions?
I think, as Dan said, we are obligated because we are part of the WRS system already. The town of Hudson is, so I don't think there's a choice here. I think we're in, and
Yes, I don't think that we have to take any action. I think it's a done deal.
Well, I think we should. And the reason I think we should is, that there be a record that all employees who qualify will be in the state retirement system to include our treasurer. In fact, that's my motion. All employees of the town who meet the requirements of 1,200 hours or more per year that work for more than 1 year, that's expected to work for more than 1 year, that they will be part of the state retirement system with our contribution to specifically include our treasurer. That's my motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion by Fowler, seconded by Lamb, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Discussion action on LRIP road submission. Susan?
Me? No. I didn't know you were going to do this. Okay. So Nick helped me here because I believe you had brought forth 2 roads that may possibly qualify for LRIP. One of them being Scott Road, and the other was Kinney.
So what you had asked me to do is work with Matt Porter at the Highway Department and get some ideas of what roads based on our Whistler would be worth pursuing for LRIP. Now, given the time that we left, I thought originally it was December 15th, but it's November 15th to get a submission for the LRIP project. So, in talking to Max, just give me a couple other possibilities, right? And so, Kenny was one of them, but he said wait until the construction on the 94 bridges are done. That way it's not getting torn up by putting something back down on a And I guess I digressed on that point. The November 15th deadline is for 3 levels of LRIP. One of them is a smaller reimbursement amount, $20,000, $30,000, something to that effect. The other 2 are a full packet with engineered costs and projections of a full-blown road project. The way it came in with us starting late in the year and not knowing what we're looking for, there's no way to get a road picked by the board, gone through engineering, get all the pricing out, and have it done in 2 weeks. It's just not going to happen. So we're basically down to picking a road that will get some portion of it back. Now that portion of it back is for the hot mix asphalt only. It's not going to be a $70,000 project that we get $70,000 matched or something to that effect. It's only for the hot mix piece. So when I talked to Matt about getting the roads together, Scott was recommended that you would be doing all of Scott Road, getting reimbursed the $25,000 or so for the hot mix only portion. Kenny was just thrown out there because it was on his mind of another road that could get it, but again, wanting to wait until that 94 construction was done to not tear up this thing.
Both of those roads, according to, this was back from a report that was back in '24, so the exact amounts, that's where I needed to speak with Matt, what his idea was. And at that time, Scott Road was approximately $330,000, and Kinney was $335,000 for either road to be done. And I did talk, not with Matt, but there's always been some talk about if that entrance into the Hudson needed to be re-engineered, and St. Clair County does not believe that that needs to be re-engineered. And that's been one of the things that's been holding us back. So, being that each road is basically the same amount for funding, for what the cost to finish the road is going to be basically the same. So it's not going to matter which one we go after, except for saying that possibly waiting on Kinney because of the work that's being done on 94.
And I would say long term, and now I don't know the cycles for when our projects are put in again. Let's say it's, fall of 26, right? But Scott will have a better chance of getting approved for a really bigger allotment of buckets because it's a high use road. It serves more than, basically just access road that Kinney is. It's a connecting road. It has more houses on it. That has a better chance of getting approved by that board that just got passed, the sticker board. So in the future, that could be a better use of planning for it. The hard part is if you want to do something next year with LRIP money, you have to decide on what to do, and then that'll help us get the smaller project application put together.
Okay, so what's our deadline?
November 15th.
November 15th.
Yeah. And the small ones are relatively easy to put together because you don't need an engineer or anything. And again, it's only for hot mix now. I'm not a road connoisseur, so I don't know what else is out there that would be a hot mix project.
Well, it's just that's the only part that we get reimbursed for is the hot mix.
Correct.
Is how I understand the outlook, and that's exactly what we got reimbursed for Dover Road this year, was the hot mix portion of it.
So are we looking at just deciding on one project at this point in time?
It sounds that we should decide on one project to enter into the LRIP. Decide on one.
At least see if you can get the small reimbursement project granted. Why not? I mean, it would be worth trying one instead of not trying at all.
Right.
And I would clarify too, you didn't touch on it yet, but the numbers that Matt gave for 2024 are close enough to accurate. They don't give out numbers every year. They're good for a few, 1 or 2 years. So that 2024 estimate for those roads is fairly close to what to expect.
And then wasn't there also something in that LRIP, depending on if it was used for possible agricultural agricultural farming that connected into the road, which also Scott Road would qualify for that.
So right now, the Elbert window is open. I don't know about A-RIP, which would be the ag roads. Still being, I don't know if there's going to be another window for that, but this one is just for local roads.
So I have a question. So if, first of all, I know Scott Road needs work, right? I've heard that from many people. But if we do the blacktop now, and it's a better candidate for a larger project, is that a good use? I don't think it is.
It's band-aiding it, and you'd have to take it out to redo the road, because you have to pulverize it to fix Scott Road, and you would be destroying what you do, you know, spring, summer of next year with this Elbert.
So my assumption is, because of all the transition we had and everything, we will have a better chance next year for putting Scott on as a major grant recipient, right? And if that's our intent, we should pursue that. In the meantime, is there a road like, you know, when you and I went out on the, you know, the highway guys, you know, like, you know, Badlands is a hot dust, right? Is that something we could repave for the time being, or is that?
No, that's what he recommended, Kinney Road, not Badlands. Badlands is, yeah,
But it's a really bad road.
I know, but
Sorry for the pun.
we need help from
Yeah.
the state. We can't yet. That's a major reconstruct. It's not going to hurt us to apply for something like Kinney Road. It's not going to hurt us to apply.
When is the 94 project going to be done?
It's getting close, I think.
So by next summer, when we would do this, it seems like Kinney Road would be the logical step.
Just because all we're actually doing is right now we're applying for it.
Do you have a motion, Susan?
Sure. I so move that if Nick, you're willing to get into the paperwork with St. Clair County and enter Kinney Road for possibly getting into an LRIP.
I don't know if I can make suggestions or discussion, or should I wait? I would say, you know, if, when I talked to Matt, he said if the board decides on one, then they'll start looking and putting together actual numbers for it. Do you want to make it contingent upon something of actually getting a number to see what that project looks like, its scope and, you know, timeline for it, or you pick one and say, let's do it? Because maybe it doesn't make sense. I didn't know it was a $335,000 project for Kinney Road. I figured he gave us that one as a smaller scale, but
I think that we probably won't be that far off.
it probably not. But that might lead up to a road construction cost for next year, because you're not going to band-aid it. You're going to get the whole $300,000 project and only get a fraction of the back in reimbursement. You know what I mean? Like there's not a great option.
Okay, and the way I look at this a little bit is, not every year is a road year. You know, we have other priorities that we've taken care of as a town this year. Maybe it's not something to spend $360,000 on this year.
Well, Gilbert Road was estimated at $550,000 and we got $22,000 back. We got the blacktopping back home.
Yeah,
So, you know, this is smaller, if you want to say it. Kinney is smaller. And I guess I'm going to get off tangent. This is where I would like us to have a working session and actually go through our roads and discuss our footprint for next year as far as what we're going to seal coat, what we're going to chip and seal. But I feel comfortable looking at and trying to get this into an LRIP versus not doing anything.
I guess it costs us nothing to apply.
Not that I know of, yeah.
I mean, we would still have to vote to authorize the project, right? So,
Yeah, that's fine.
in terms of recommendation, is Kitty our best recommendation as far as anything before 11:15?
I would think so, because it seems financially smarter to wait on Scott to try for the bigger elbow portion of it, the other bucket.
The grant bucket, yeah.
Right.
All right, so Susan, your motion was to authorize our clerk to apply for the Belleville grant and get costing, correct?
Correct. Costing from St. Clair County for Kinney Road.
And Rachel, you seconded?
I'll second that.
All right. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Looks like now, communications and items for future agendas. Will we even put,
I would like a working session, to work on looking at what we're going to do for 2026 on our roads as far as seal coating, chip and seal, and then also at that time we can bring up actual reconstruct of, say, Scott Road, or anything else that anybody wants to bring up. We do have our Whistler report here, but St. Clair County is going to end up helping us a lot because I don't have the actual numbers of what some of this costs, and I need those numbers from Matt as far as how much per mile it's going to cost us for chip sealing, so that we can kind of decide if we do this bigger project, how much money do we have left in our roads? Even though we have earmarked out to do chip sealing on all these other streets, we need to discuss it and talk about it and get a game plan together for next year. I feel a lot more comfortable.
all right, so we'll put on the agenda a workshop sometime in December. So,
And then we can have the town hall, opening up town hall.
yeah, we can do the workshop at the same time on that. We'll need to put on, whether it's December's agenda or January's or whatever comes in, whatever the LREP costs are, we'll need to discuss and have a vote to see about Kenny. Anything else you people can think of?
Well, I just have a comment. So I was zooming, obviously, you guys know I'm having feet problems. And I can't open the Word or Excel for some reason on my phone. And so it was useless for me to be at the budget meeting, so I signed up. But then you guys made an actual budget meeting and nobody even told me. I had no idea what was even going on.
Yeah.
So can we please make sure we communicate all the meetings? I mean, maybe once, when they're made, just send out an email to everybody, okay, we decided to have a working session. This day, this time, we're doing a public hearing, 5 o'clock on Tuesday, the 12th, or whatever. That would be really helpful.
Well, I know that Nick has sent out agendas for every
He has.
meeting, so that should tell you what it is.
But
I think
if
what-
we have working sessions, we might not have agendas.
Right, and I think what happened there was, I remember that you had to drop off the call, and, because you couldn't open the documents, I could get it. But, we did post it like immediately. And if you sign up for the alerts, you will get every meeting minute. So even as board members, we should sign up for it, because I got one for that workshop, so.
I get emails from the town of Hudson, so I think I get alerts, but I don't check email because I have like 60-some thousand emails in my box. So I rarely use it unless somebody flags me and says, hey, I'm emailing you something.
Well, maybe a suggestion would be, we're never going to meet on the weekend, right? So maybe check every weekend, is there a meeting coming up on because it's on there, but we will certainly try to communicate with you. The intention is not to.
Well, I meant all of us in
Right,
general. Just
the intention of that was not to skip you. I think basically, what did we have, 3 or 4 meetings that month? It was ridiculous. So, that's why I'm trying to trying to space these out now a little bit better.
Can we go ahead and set a date for that working session? Before time gets away on us.
What would you like?
You said not till December? That's,
We have a budget hearing on November 11th. I see that, is that correct?
18.
18.
18th?
gonna move to the 18th.
Yeah, that got moved because of a publication issue, so it's on the 18th.
Town hearing 18th, I've got another, I'll delete the 11th.
So, do we want to just go right away after our town board meeting, December 4th?
That's going to be too long of a meeting. I would not be in favor of that.
Not on the 3rd. Our meeting is on the 3rd Wednesday night.
Okay,
So can we do it the following day,
on a Thursday.
on a Thursday? So it's the beginning of December, not getting close to Christmas, and just get it done. Otherwise, we can skip to the next week on Monday, the 8th.
The 4th works for me, but
I will be in a jury trial. I can't.
Okay.
On the 8th, I could.
the 8th is
On Monday.
Monday.
Would that work?
Yeah.
Mondays already kind of suck. I mean, to be honest with you, work and all the emails you get over the
Okay.
weekend.
I don't care if it's Tuesday, I just want to get it done and,
How about December 9th? Is everybody okay with that?
Tuesday the 9th.
Yeah.
The town hall is open until 6 anyway that day. So,
that might be a good choice.
could we say 5 o'clock?
I have a conflict at 6.
Okay.
The last thing on Tuesday, you were able to scoot out. I mean, if we don't keep it short, right? I mean, this can be a long thing.
Probably. The road, let's do this. Let's take the roads up first. And then if you have to go, we understand. And you keep in mind, it only takes a quorum of 3 people to go. So, I mean, we'll be okay.
Yeah, if you want to bring your notes.
We can do the 8th. If it works better for you, I'm okay with that.
What's that look like?
Would you rather do the 8th?
The 8th is open for me, and so.
It's open for everybody, right?
Yeah.
Let's set it for the 8th at 5 o'clock.
That's only working session.
Yep. And God willing, we won't have a special meeting just. I move to adjourn the meeting if there's no further business.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Great meeting, folks. Thank you. Thank you all for your work.